Check 1, 2, check. There we go. All right, now we got some audio here. So again, we'd like to welcome everyone watching at home to the first annual Alabama Christian Sports Conference Media Day. I am Scott Stafford, your host and producer for today's event. We're coming live to you from the Evangel Sports Complex in Montevallo, Alabama. In a moment, I'll be handing over to Commissioner Mike Long, and he will open us with a word of prayer and some remarks about the state of the conference. First, I'd like to take a moment to just talk about the format for today's event. We have 5 schools participating in 8-man football this season. Each school is represented here today by their head coach and 2 players. Commissioner Long will introduce each team, and we will ask them a few questions about their team and the upcoming season. So, without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Long.
We would like to grow. Is probably one of the best in the nation, not in 8-man football, not just in our local area. And that's been talked about on other shows and different coaches throughout the country. That's something we maintain. We maintain an open door policy that anyone can contact me at any time, anyone whether within our conference or outside our conference. They can contact me and talk about whatever they want to talk about that would enhance their program. Possibility of coming into the Alabama Christian Sports program. If there are concerns within our program, and everything, we are really ready as a board to discuss and work with those people to help them through issues. We understand that some of the programs are well established, and we understand that some programs are new and are just now getting started. So those programs, we're there ready to help them in any way that we can. So without further ado on that, you don't want to hear so much from me as you want to hear some of these from these guys and these coaches. And we have first up today from Southern Christian Patriots, the head coach, Jason Scott. Jason has brought Josiah Frick and Noah Freeman with him today. And we're going to turn it over to them at this time and have a lot of fun today, and we hope that you'll enjoy this program.
First, I want to thank Coach Mike, Commissioner Mike, and the Alabama Christian Sports Conference for inviting us, and now we're in our second year probation here. And we're very thankful and very glad to be part of a great conference. Truly, I know there are other schools that are interested in coming to the conference, and I'll tell you the standard here is high, and it's that way for a reason. There's an excellence that is very hard to quantify. So I want to encourage you, if you're thinking about coming into the conference, come on in. There's lots of room. We have a great time, and Christ is exalted here. So that being said, I want to introduce you to my guys. This is Noah Freeman on my left. He is our starting quarterback. He's a sophomore, number 2, and he'll play free safety for us as well. On my right, over here is Josiah Frick, number 11. He's our starting fullback and starting Mike linebacker. These guys have been working extremely hard in the off season. They're gonna love getting a chance to talk to you, all you people out there on YouTube and the people that are here are listening to. I'll talk a second about Southern Christian. Started 3 years ago, probably way too late in the season to start football. We started buying pads and helmets at the beginning of July, which is crazy because practice actually starts at the beginning of July. So we came in late, but this is year 3 for us, and we've had a pretty good run. I feel like our conference, the support that we get is the main reason that we're able to increase our numbers, increase our leadership every year, and it's because of these men, Coach Tim Smith, Coach Ricky Fitris, and Coach Mike, of course, that have made a big difference for me. I come from a background assistant coaching. I coached at other schools. I'm an offensive line coach. This is the first year as a head coach of a football team. So I've depended heavily upon it, and I can't be thankful enough. We're a third-year program. The way we got started was purely necessity. I would say that. It's that old saying, necessity being the mother of invention. So it was how we got started. I've got twin boys that are 15. I have a now 21-year-old that had played at he played at Ezekiel, he played at Ballard, he played at the Oaks, played at a lot of different places, but we never had a place that we could call home, right? So my boys were coming into the football season and not having a place to play. We were just going to play baseball at Ezekiel. That's what we had planned on doing. And we weren't going to play football, but we had, I think his brother, Josiah's brother, was one of the guys who was a senior, and several other guys that came to me, and they didn't have anywhere to play ball. There was no football program in our Auburn, Opelika, Smith Station area. There was nowhere for them to play. They were homeschoolers. We also had some private schoolers from a great local school, Trinity Christian School in Opelika. They didn't have a place to play football. They were very excited about playing football. And so, being that necessity, my wife Chastity and I decided that we would undertake this thing that God had been putting on our hearts for a few years. we would constantly have people come to us saying, hey, Coach, why don't you start a program? Hey, Coach, why don't you start a football team? Hey, Coach. And, us men can be stubborn, so it took me a while longer before I finally figured out this was what we were supposed to be doing. So I think that this is my purpose in life, to make sure that there is a homeschool program, sports program, in the Auburn, Opelika, Smith Station, Phoenix City area for the homeschoolers, outside of the other opportunities, obviously, that there are, the Tebow rule, whatever it's called in Alabama, and playing at other private schools. My experience has been that private schools, they don't value the homeschoolers like we do. We value homeschoolers. We're homeschool sports in Auburn and Opelika. And we intend on giving some of these guys in here a run for their money in the next few years. It's taken us, this is year 3. We're finally starting to see a little bit of rollover. Guys that played are now coaching, and so that's made a huge impact for our program. Kind of what it took going from last year to this year, we lost 8 seniors. Both sides of the line went down, graduated. We lost our entire offensive and defensive line. We also lost our starting punter, quarterback, do everything guy. And so we kind of started fresh with a lot of these guys coming into a season where the numbers weren't really there. And so we've had, this guy right here is our recruiter. He goes after them. Anybody that homeschools in the area, he finds out who they are. And so we're getting those homeschoolers into our program, and a lot of these kids have never played sports before. I know that's probably a crazy thing to say on a program like this, but we train them up basically from the ground floor, which is good and bad, because good being they don't have any bad habits yet, bad being that they don't have any habits yet. So it can be very tough, but well worth it. As far as our idea, our philosophy, for us at Southern Christian, if God will give me a coach and give me enough players to play a sport, it doesn't matter what that sport is. We'll take it on. We'll do all the work and make sure it gets done, because I don't want to be the one that somebody comes to in 5 years and says, hey, why didn't you guys have this sport that I'm passionate about at Southern Christian? That won't be the case. We will have it if I can find a coach and I can find enough guys to play, or girls. We also have girls sports, which some of the other places around, they don't offer a lot of options for the girls. We started cheerleading this year, so at the Southern Christian games, you'll see the cheerleaders on the sideline. We have one of the, I would say, one of the best cheerleading coaches around coming into our program this year, and she's taking the bull by the horns, Miss Irene, and she is a phenomenal person. And 12 girls in less than 3 days going off to a cheer camp, just amazing. Back to football. My guys at Southern Christian, we're young, so talk about the team. We're young. We don't have a lot of guys in the upper class. We are very heavy in our 9th and 10th graders. We have, I think we have about 7 or 8 guys that are juniors and seniors. So we're pretty light in the upperclassmen. Hardworking guys, some of them just coming into the program. You know who you are. So we're glad to take on the team that is kind of an underdog in this group of really great teams that you're going to get to see. Some phenomenal athletes, some phenomenal coaches, and we're so blessed and happy to be a part of it. I think that's a pretty good wrap up of what we are and who we are, and I think we're going to take questions now.
Great job, Coach. Thank you so much for that excellent background on your program. You actually answered a lot of the questions that I was gonna ask you in that opening there. So let me just start with talking about your calling to start this program and everything. What are some things that you do personally to grow and prepare in order to lead your team, to try to get families to join Southern Christian and so forth?
I think that's probably the best question that I'm going to be given today, because it gives me a chance to talk about the important things. So I live by the big three principle in the morning time. I think that's the most vital part of your day. When you get up, you can do it in 15 minutes, but if you don't, then you spend the rest of your day trying to figure out what happened to you. So 5 minutes of prayer, 5 minutes of reading your Bible, getting in the Word, and of course 5 minutes or more on the way to work, probably, of worship music and getting back to your base spiritually. If that's something that I miss, I feel it. Like I said, I feel it all day, and a lot of things tend to go wrong. So I think that one of the biggest things that we have done this year, besides spiritual growth in our coach and our coaching staff, they're with us. Let's say I've got one new guy this year that has come on board, Coach Ben. He's coached rec league his whole life, so he's got that enthusiasm that a rec league coach would bring to a team. But I think that the biggest impact on our team this year that we're gonna be able to transfer from that place to the field is gonna be the weight room. So we were gifted equipment by the East Alabama Medical Center about a year ago, and we've had it in storage. And then we were gifted a place to work out in downtown Opelika, a building. God is good to us. He's faithful, and all the things that we have, short of just a little bit of fundraising, God has provided for us. And that has been the story of Southern Christian, is that a story of favor. And without it, we would not be able to continue. So we will continue to depend on the favor of God to make this happen. But the weight room, we didn't have that last year. We had a 1 day a week where we would go to this place where we were storing the equipment and try to work out together, and that was junior varsity only. There wasn't even a place for the varsity guys to work out. So that's going to be the biggest thing moving forward into this year. I think that is going to have an impact on our program.
Great, thanks, Coach. I think that's probably going to be a recurring theme when we talk about favor that a lot of these programs have seen, especially early on in their existence. You're only 3 years in with football, but I've noticed even in the first year of your program, you guys seem to have some good talent and seem to be pretty well coached and everything. So just talk a little bit about that. How have you been able to get those players to come in, and how you've been able to put a good product on the field so early on?
Sure. That's a tough question. I liked your first question better. That's a tough question. I think that it's a continuation. It's favor. There's a lot of homeschool people in the Lee County, Russell County area, and it's taken us this long to really get our name out there. I visited a school last week, and they had never heard of us, and they're only 25 minutes from Opelika. So getting the word out that we exist, and that we exist for homeschoolers, and we exist for small, private schools that don't have any sports. We get kids that here's the crazy thing, and maybe this is something that the other guys can kind of jump on with me, is that most rec leagues only last to 13 years old. I think some last to 14 years old. And homeschool kids and kids that are going to go to private schools that don't have sports, that's it. If they're not going to be, if they're good enough to play on a travel ball team or something like that, they can, then there's a million of those in Auburn. They can get on a travel ball team. But short of going into the public school, there's really not an option for these players. And so when we came along and made this opportunity, some great athletes just popped up out of the ground. And it was an amazing thing to see. We do have, like I said, guys that brand new, never even really played ball in the yard that much. But we also do have some really excellent athletes that, I don't know, God's been training them, physically for a sport that they didn't know they would be able to play. So I think that's part of the story. especially in our first year, we had guys that just came in that already knew the game. We didn't have to start over, which was a huge blessing because we had so much other things in year one, so many other things that you have to do to get a team ready.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to play one of our games with a home game with an away jersey because we didn't have our uniforms in. So there's a lot of challenges. But I think that to answer your question, like we exist because God has us in the place that we're supposed to be. These young men are out there right now working out and getting ready. They're homeschooled. They don't know what they're going to do yet, but they're going to play at Southern Christian. We just hadn't found them yet.
Yeah. Great answer. Did you have anything for Coach, or move on to players now? Okay. So, Coach, if you'll pass the microphone to Josiah, we got a few questions for him. Good morning, Josiah. Speaking of the gym you guys were blessed with, it looks like you just walked out of it. So, Josiah, the roster says you're not only a two-way player, but you play quarterback and running back?
Yes, sir.
So what makes you so versatile, and which position do you prefer on offense?
I guess versatility just comes with the sport, especially in 8-man football. And then I guess being a quick learner, that helps with knowing since I started, I was always playing different positions. And I guess each position has its pros and cons. Football, like with quarterback or running back, and quarterback comes with a lot of responsibility, leadership-wise, and everything like that on the field. And also you can't play defense most likely if you play quarterback. So I'd probably lean towards running back just because I can play both sides of the ball, more play time.
And speaking of playing both ways, talk a little bit about the conditioning aspect of playing both ways. How did you prepare in the off season to be ready for that? And that's probably going to be a question a lot of you guys get, because I know a lot of y'all play both ways.
Yeah, the conditioning for the off season was a lot of hill sprints, more time in the gym this season because we got the new weight equipment. Thank God for that. And just a lot of that, just prioritizing time, not letting it just fly by you over the summer because it could do that. But yeah, just a lot of prioritizing and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. So, Coach talked about how young the program is and everything. Only 7 or 8 juniors and seniors, upperclassmen. So obviously you're being asked to take on more of a leadership role this year. What have you done personally to prepare you for that role? And has anyone influenced you to be prepared this season in that capacity?
Right. So I guess more of a leadership role. It's intimidating sometimes because you could see like there's only a handful of us that really can impact the team in that aspect. And Coach is one of those guys who you always look up to, and you could see he's juggling work, school, or not school, but his boys, and just coaching the whole team and still doing a great job at it. And that's someone, and same with my dad, just an incredible leader and at the house and working, just still in he's just always there and impactful.
That's
and
awesome.
I guess, just throughout the summer and season, just trying to, I guess, pray out for the season and getting your mental state ready to lead because it's nothing really easy.
Right. Great answer. That's all I have for you, Josiah. You have anything for Josiah, or can we move on to? Okay. You want to pass the microphone to Noah? So Noah, apologies, I'm having to dodge this column over here. Looking at last year's stats, and your name rarely shows up, to be honest with you. So this year, you're obviously viewed as one of the leaders on the defense, or else you wouldn't be here. Talk a little bit about how you've matured physically and personally to be prepared to take on this role.
Yes, sir, definitely. Last year being my first year to ever play the game, really learned a lot about the game, and just built my football IQ a lot. Just learned to be a team leader. It's also really big.
Okay, awesome. And your team came close in a number of games last season. I think there was 3 or 4 that y'all lost by a touchdown or less. Talk about how those close losses motivated you in the off season and summer camp.
Yes, those are definitely big motivators. Yeah, makes you always want to never play light in the game. You always fan it to the last second.
Yep.
Give all you got out there.
Yeah.
Big motivation.
Absolutely. So, speaking of summer camp, it's been hot out there this summer, hasn't it?
Yes, sir.
What's Coach doing to keep practices fun in this oppressive heat out there?
Yes, sir. There's a lot of drill work, a lot of position-specific drill work. Yeah, just a lot of that. Like you said, it's really hot. Trying to make sure drink plenty of water, Gatorade.
Yeah, press through it. So you're a young guy, just a sophomore on a really young team. Usually teams rely on their seniors or upperclassmen for leadership. Talk about how the other guys, young guys like yourself, are stepping up and playing more of a leadership role on the team, and how do you think that will benefit the program this year and years to come?
Yes, sir. Like I said, we lost like 7 or 8 seniors last year. Those are the main leaders. Of course, we got guys like Joe that are also really good leaders. But, yeah, we really just need to step up, pick guys that have already played, be leaders in the team.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. All right. Do you have any questions, James? James Shannon with 8-Man Extreme is with us this morning, so I'll turn it over to him.
Hey, guys. Appreciate y'all taking the questions. Appreciate Evangel hosting it, and glad I got the chance to come down. Coach, first question for you. Actually, there's 2 questions. First off being, with you guys being a homeschool program, you're dealing with young men that are home. What are some of the pros that you see that you've experienced dealing with homeschool athletes? And then the second question would be, what are some of the things you do to balance, maybe time management in terms of a full-time job, having a family, coaching a football program, and everything that goes into it?
Great question. Thank you. And I appreciate you guys being part of this as well. 8-Man Extreme represented here, and this is an awesome event that all you guys are putting on here. So the question about the homeschoolers, the good thing about homeschoolers generally, of course there's exceptions to every rule, is that these are kids that come in with a good foundation. They generally have good morals. We don't have to stay on them as much. Some other programs will have to kind of battle that the whole season long. We really just, the work ethic is where we find we need to plug in the most effort, is really getting our work ethic, what we expect. We have pretty high expectations out of our guys as far as work ethic. So that's probably the biggest thing we struggle with. The biggest benefit would be that most of these guys come in with a good heart, a good attitude. They come in willing to learn and, willing to work. Although a lot of times it's more than they bargain for, the work. But I think all in all, that's most likely the answer to that one. The second thing, as far as me personally juggling, I do have a full-time job. Also, the family, a homeschool dad. There is an incredible amount of prioritization that Joe talked about that has to take place, and you have to put in there, and all you guys that are coaches, spending time with your wife, spending time with your family, making sure that schoolwork gets done for homeschoolers. The teachers aren't checking the grades. You're checking to make sure everything got done that day, and preparation for the practice the next day. Because sometimes my work runs over, and I'm like yesterday, not able to make it to practice, and so prioritizing time to set up, make sure the practices are done the things that I need done on that day. So it does burn a little midnight oil, and up until a week ago, I was doing the 5:30 a.m. workouts with the guys. We've scaled that back to twice a week now. We're only working out twice a week at 5:30 in the morning, so I get to sleep in a couple of days a week, which is a big help.
For sure. Question for the players. First off, I want to get each of you guys to talk about, kind of describe your experience as a homeschool athlete, just some of the things that comes with it and what you guys have experienced so far. And then second, with any travel you've got to do, I've got to ask the lighthearted question. If you stop at a gas station, what's the go-to? What are we grabbing? What are we drinking? What are we eating? What are we snacking on?
Sir, yeah, it's definitely, you don't want to drink a lot of soda, sweet tea, Kool-Aid, all that. The coaches really.
It's got to be Milo's, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's got to be Milo's.
All right.
Yeah, a lot of Powerade, Gatorade. Yeah, all that stuff is good for you. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. What are we snacking on?
I don't know.
What are we going
I'm
for
not really
first?
picky when it comes to food, but protein bars, something like that, yeah.
Fair enough.
Good.
Fair enough. And then, what are some of the things that you've had to go through as a homeschool athlete, or as you're kind of going through this journey? What are some of the things that you're experiencing and kind of finding out about, even just yourself, or maybe learning from other guys?
Yeah, it's really a learning curve. It's a new experience. Coming in, trying to learn the game to the best of my ability, be a team leader, and yeah, it's definitely a learning curve.
Gotcha. What about you, Josiah? We'll start with a serious question first.
Serious question.
What are some of the things that you're experiencing or going through learning, being a homeschool athlete, or what are some of the things that you can learn from other guys who have kind of been in this journey or have already gone down this journey?
Okay, so I guess just the fact of, like we said earlier, prioritizing with you got homeschooling, you get a lot of free time, you can work, and just learning from my brother last season, and I don't know, he was juggling a lot of stuff, he still made it work, and I guess it's just a lot of learning throughout it, being able to be quick learning, not just letting time go to waste, even on like off days, still trying to perfect the craft almost, and just get it better day by day.
I got you.
Yes, sir.
And then what are we going for at the gas station? What's
Shoot.
our if we're running in grabbing something? What are we going for?
Beef jerky for sure. Maybe a
There you go.
Snickers, and then body armor.
Okay.
Each
Yeah.
mango.
There you go.
For sure.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Southern Christian. I believe that's all the questions we have for you guys now. Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
All the time.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
All right. Really appreciate Jason Scott and the remarks that he had, and Josiah and Noah. We appreciate you guys. And there were several things. I wanted to keep it brief and try to keep as much attention on the players and coaches today and football. But something that was mentioned there about the time schedules that Jason talked about is some of these coaches are also their ADs of their local schools too, or their programs. And so some of them are coaching more than one sport. I'll take the opportunity to say that the Alabama Christian Sports Conference, while we have our individual sports such as bass fishing, tennis, golf, and so forth, our sanctioned sports we have for our girls, we have volleyball in the fall, then we have girls basketball and softball and soccer in the spring. So in boys we have, of course, football, and then we have the basketball and baseball in the spring. So it comes along in the spring. So we're a full conference. Some of these are large programs. Sometimes when we talk in here, you'll hear us talk about homeschool and so forth, and we're talking about, you may see this as a small entity when it really isn't. It's quite large, involving thousands of parents and players that have gone through the past 14 years as this conference been in existence. Also, it's easy for us to be labeled as a homeschool conference, which is not totally correct. We are made up, our 5 football schools are homeschool programs, but our conference is open to, and we've had some in the past, of those private schools that are not a part of the association, the state association, high school association, or the Alabama Independent School Association, or maybe one of the other smaller conferences in the state. So it's open to other programs. And some of these programs you've already heard that we get sometimes a student from a program that maybe doesn't have football or something like that, then they can come over as long as they're willing to be responsible for the academics of those students and the behavior of those students. They have to be in good standing with their previous schools. So we hope some of those things are I'm going to maybe say one or two things in between each time as they settle in, and give you a little bit more background on that. But this time, I'd like to introduce Coach Daniel Smith from East Central Patriots, head coach. He is also athletic director, and he's brought today two players, Tony Paffumi and Evan Vincent, and I'd like to turn it over to them.
F 44. And it's just amazing to see how God works. We have a strength program now that's led by an amazing man, Willie Strickland, who runs Define Fitness in Moody. And he opens his gym to our guys, and they're able to go in there every day and work out. And it's been phenomenal for us. And they also hear the word, and he baptizes people basically every day in that. And it's just the type of things that this conference and these teams provide for kids and homeschoolers is amazing, and I'm just thankful to be a part of it. Our program is strong. We're growing. Like I said, we have 44 players. We have 22 JV and 22 varsity. So looking forward to this season. Looking forward to getting started this Friday against Evangel here. So just ready to get going. And I'll open it up to any questions.
That's awesome, Coach. So just talk a little bit about how you became to be the head coach, how you came to be the head coach at East Central, and what motivates you as a coach.
Well, I started, I had two boys. One graduated last year as a senior. I have one more on the team as a senior this year. Just 4 years ago, we were homeschooling, didn't know this stuff existed. Saw Coach Long's post on Facebook, called him, and he needed two more players to get to 16 that year. And my youngest wanted to play, and my oldest didn't. So he played anyway. A little bit in shock. But, last season, that last play came off the field, and he didn't want to leave. It was a great thing for him. Football and sports in general are great for these young men and women to learn about life, how to deal with adversity, how to deal with success. And I'm very thankful for that. So that's how I got started, having two boys on the team. Just began helping as a coach. My background, I've coached flag football, coached park ball and different things. But I want to thank Coach Long for really taking me in and working with me over these last 4 years to teach me how to coach varsity level football. And been growing every year. Went from defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, now to head coach, and just love being around these young guys, heavily involved in our youth ministry at our church. And just love being there for the kids, just like those before that helped me as I was growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you're on the spot question. So you've had some young teams the last few years, only the fourth year in existence, like you said, but this year's team has some more upper class players. So do you think this is the year the squad starts to make some noise in the conference, and if so, why?
We sure hope so. We have the leadership. We do. We have 8 seniors this year. We have had a total of 8 seniors our first 3 years. So we've got a great group of seniors, and these two guys beside me are two of them that provide great leadership for the young guys. They're patient. They're great mentors. Never have any trouble out of who's playing, who's not. And then we have a large junior class of about 12 guys that we're really excited about. So, but yeah, if this is the year, if we're going to make some noise, we need to do it this year so we can continue to grow and get to where we want to be.
Yep. And looking at your roster, I noticed you got a number of quarterbacks on there. Have you settled on a QB to start the season here at Evangel, or is that too confidential to answer right now?
Well, I just put that on Max Preps because everyone wants to play quarterback, so we just that's just for them. We got some guys. We're not settled yet, but we're happy with who we have. A couple of young quarterbacks. Andrew Barksdale's been there from the start. Great young man. Knox Cooper's another one. They're both great players, both sophomores, and we're glad they're on our team.
Cool. And the last question I have for you, Coach. So a lot of athletes and coaches like yourself typically find their confidence or measure success by wins, performance, ability, etc. How do you push toward excellence and winning while balancing that with their security in Christ?
Well, that has to be part of the foundation. Similar to what Coach Scott said, you can't talk about your walk with Christ and then go out and only focus on conditioning or working out, all that stuff. That has to be a part of what we do. And if it's not part of your foundation, it won't be there when you need it. So we make that's one thing we love about this conference and all the people involved is make sure we glorify God in what we do. Make sure we challenge our players, our coaches, our parents at games to, even when it's not going our way, even if we feel like the refs are giving Lighthouse all the advantage or whatever's going on. Glorify God in everything you do, and even in adversity. Right. So
that's a great answer. You have any questions for Coach, or you want me to move on to the players, James? Okay. All right. You want to hand the mic to Tony, and I'll ask him a couple questions here. Welcome, Tony. Just like with the other guys, make sure you're got that mic up. And so, Tony, who's going to be throwing the ball to you and Evan this season?
Well, like you said, we have two great quarterbacks. Yeah, both of them are really young. I mean, still developing, but I trust both of them to score some touchdowns.
Yeah. I just thought I'd throw that out there and see if I could get you to slip up a little bit. But and Tony, you're the leading returner on the team in terms of receiving touchdowns. Evan had the most receiving yards per game last year. What makes you guys such an effective tandem, and what are your expectations for the passing game this season?
Yeah, I have high expectations for this season. And me and Evan really balance each other out on both sides of the field. I mean, he makes the yards, I score the touchdowns. I mean,
so he's more the big play guy, and you're the possession guy. Is that what it is?
That's what I would say.
Okay. So talk about what led you to East Central, and what do you like about playing for the Patriots?
That's a good story. I mean, I play soccer. I'm not really a football player. So last year, first year playing, I mean, man, it was a good year, and I love playing football, honestly.
Yeah, awesome. And tell us a funny story about Coach Smith. Don't hold back now.
Man, I'd say I don't really have a funny story.
Okay.
But
or any story.
Something that was funny was kind of the start of this season was I didn't know if I wanted to play defense or offense. So I was like, okay, Coach, I'm playing defense. He's like, okay. And then I'm like, you know what? A couple of weeks later, I want to play offense because I like scoring touchdowns. He's like, man, come on. So I want to play defense. And I just kept going back and forth. And finally he's like, hey, just play both. So
that's awesome. Well, that's all I have for you. You can hand the microphone over there to Evan now. Evan, so similar to what I asked Tony, is there like any kind of friendly competition between you two guys about who's going to get the most yards, TDs, et cetera?
I mean, not outright that we have an outright competition between us, but I think we both know that we want to be better than the other one. I want to score more touchdowns. I want to get more yards than him, and I know he wants to do that too.
There you go.
So
why do you feel that 2022 is the season that the Patriots will win this conference? Putting you on the spot a little bit.
So I'm trying to – I think one of our one thing we were really struggling with last year is our blocking. We've been working on that every week since we started practice. We've been putting that really focus on that because without blocking, you don't have anything. So that's our main thing this year. We're not letting anyone through our line. We're gonna have good receiving yard or good passing, good running. It's gonna be a good year.
Okay. And just talk a little bit about your favorite thing about playing for ECS and Coach Smith.
I love the team. I love the people. They're all nice. It's fun to play with them, fun to get out there and just mess around during practice. And then we can be serious when we need to.
Yeah.
And then I like the strong focus on God that we have as our foundation, like Coach said. We always start and end practice with a team prayer, and that's a really good thing that's pretty rare in sports these days. So
that's awesome. And you actually just answered my last question I had for you about, how being an ECHS football player helps you be a better follower of Christ. And I think you just answered that right there. That's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. James, do you have any questions?
This one's for Evan. First off, great political answer with 8 opponents in the room on why you would win the conference. Very solid job. To piggyback off of one of Scott's questions, if you do get any receptions Friday night, who's going to be throwing you the ball?
For the record, Tony did throw a touchdown to Evan last year.
There you go.
Maybe Tony.
There you go. Well, let me ask Coach a question real quick. Coach, you guys have a great group of coaches here in the conference. But is there any coaches or any influences outside the conference that you've been able to talk to? Any guys that you have really become mentors for you? Like I said, you guys have a solid group inside, but is there anybody else that you've been able to kind of glean off of and get some advice from?
Yes, growing up, the guy that made me a student of the game was an older cousin of mine he's a coach at Escambia Academy where I grew up down in Atmore. He's the guy that I still call, ask questions if I want to get a different opinion. But there's guys in this room though that'll help me every chance, anytime I need anything. Coach Long's always been there for me. Coach Smith's a great mentor for me. So, plenty to pull from. But yeah, my cousin John Fields down in Escambia Academy is the guy I'd call if I needed a little more info.
I got you. Are you a texting or a calling guy? Which one? Which do you prefer?
Both, but I call because he and I'll talk for hours about everything from duck hunting to football. So
fair enough. Next question is for the guys, and you can give it to either one. First question: any other sports that you've played? Is there anything you've been able to take from those that has helped you with football? Any concepts or a way to do something? Is there anything that's kind of translated over?
I mean, teamwork, trusting on. I played basketball one year, not for East Central, but for a different team. Trusting all your teammates that they'll make the play even if you can't. So if you mess up on the field, they got your back no matter what.
What's on the pregame playlist? What are we going with?
I don't know. I like all music. I mean, usually just country.
If you're given a choice, one song to just get you absolutely just hyped. No judgment.
I don't know. Anything from Zach Bryan.
Okay.
I just love Zach Bryan.
Fair enough. And now for Tony, kind of the same question. Is there anything from another sport that you've been able to apply or anything that's kind of translated?
Yeah, I'm going to say soccer, just like speed and conditioning. That's probably the biggest. It helps me in football a lot.
I got you. And then what about the pregame playlist? What are we going with?
We're going to have to go with Young Boy.
Fair enough. That's it for me.
All right, thank you, James. So at this time, we are ready for East Central to exit the table. So we can put the default scene back up there.
Appreciate Coach Smith from East Central and the words he had to say, and the players Tony and Evan up. as I said, in between each of these, as they get settled in and ready to go, maybe make a comment about our conference, whatever. One thing I would like to say is that our conference is made up of bylaws. We do have a set of bylaws that we go by. And I encourage everyone, parents, players, all, to go to the ACSCsports.org. That's ACSCsports.org. And read those bylaws. I know it doesn't read like your favorite novel, but there's a lot of good information in there. And some of those rules that we have in our conference, such as the fifth-year senior rule and things like that nature, because we do have a standard, we are the Alabama Christian Sports Conference is the only conference or teams outside the Alabama Independent School Association that association allows their teams to play. And that's very important, especially not only, as I mentioned, other sports, not only in football, but some of the schools such as Evangel, Ezekiel, some of their baseball program is filled with AISA school competition. So some of the rules we have are there not only for us to keep our organization on the right track, but also to make sure that we maintain good relations with other conferences, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. So wanted to do that, but I do want to encourage you to go to our website, acscsports.org, and take a look at that website and read those bylaws. We want to welcome the Lighthouse Warriors to the podium today, or to the table, and we have head coach J.J. Duarte with us. He has brought Eliott Knowles and Ben Hirsh with him today, and I think you're going to hear some good things coming out of Lighthouse.
There you go. All right, give me a mic check there.
Check.
Perfect. All right, we're ready to go. Coach Duarte, you can go ahead with your opening remarks.
So we're excited to be here. My name is J.J. Duarte, head coach of the Lighthouse Warriors, going into our 9th season. Just want to say thank you to the conference, Commissioner Mike, Scott Stafford, and the staff for putting this on. This is exciting. This is a big day, I think, in the history and the future for our conference as we continue to grow. I would also like to thank Evangel for hosting this, and all the coaches and ADs that are part of this conference. I've been a coach for 9 years at Lighthouse. I was there from the start of the program. So we've continued. We've had our bumps and bruises along the way. We've continued to grow each year, so we're excited about heading into the 2022 season.
Very good, Coach. So let's talk about your coaching career. Who has been the biggest influence on you as a coach during your career?
So I would say I would mention two names. I would say my high school coach, Ernie Willingham, which is now the head coach at Collinsville High School. Coming up under him and learning the game and learning how to be tough and play with everything you have. Has been a big influence. The high school I went to was a little 1A school, so we were very small high school, and you had to play both ways. So just that mental toughness that he taught me. And then I would also say I was blessed to have the opportunity to play college football. And he actually wasn't my position coach. He was linebacker coach. Sam Graham at the time was at the University of West Alabama. And one thing that was big about him is that he was a Christian man. And so a lot of times you get outside of our conference in the realm into the public school and to even college, and the fact that he could still be hard and he had some grit about him, but he was a Christian, and he taught you how to live right and taught Scripture and have Bible study. So I think that's a big influence for me and the way that I want to coach.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So let's talk a little bit about the team last year versus this year. Last year you managed to knock off the defending and eventual state champs in Ezekiel, but wound up coming up short in the conference championship. What do you think is different about this year that gives you confidence that a state title's within reach?
Well, I would say the last 2 years, I think we've made a push, and we haven't been where we needed to be to get over that hump. And I think we've got a lot of guys coming back that has experienced that the last 2 years, and so I think that's going to be a big motivation. And so one of the things that I talk about very often is I use the metaphor of steps. So every day we're trying to take a step forward. We never want to end on the same step, and we never want to take a step backwards. So this year our goal is we want to focus on us, and I think that's our biggest opponent is ourselves. And if we can get our mindsets correct, and this team, I think we have the attitude and we have the ability. And I will also say, too, I think this is being around the conference for 9 years now. I feel like the competition this year is going to be very tough, all the way from, the new teams that have come in to the teams that have been around. So we're excited to see what happens, but we're ready to make a push and run and go as far as we can.
So tell us about what your plan is to replace outstanding Preston Graham that graduated last year.
So Preston Graham will be missed, but Eliott Knowles here on my right will be taking the reins this year at QB. He has paid his dues over the past few years, and I would say that it's been even a close competition the last few years at who gets starting position. Eliott's smart. He's got good vision. He makes very good decisions, and he's been able to step in and get some playing time over the past few years. And even as a younger guy, more than 2 years ago, being able to step into big games and be able to rally the team behind him in times where Preston was banged up or hurt. And so we're excited to see him move forward this year. And like I said, he's paid his dues, and he's ready to get out there and prove himself.
Yeah, I think I saw that either last year or year before. He stepped in for Preston. I think he got hurt in the game against Evangel, and really it's like the offense didn't even miss a beat. So that was pretty impressive to watch from a young guy like yourself, Preston. Any new players on your roster that you're expecting to have an immediate impact on the season this year?
We have one new senior that came in. He's been a basketball player the last few years, and he waited till his senior year to finally come out for football. But Curtis Horton, I think he's going to be a big asset to our team this year. Probably throw him out at some receiver and also play some defensive back. He's come out and has adjusted to the physicality of the game. Already in shape from playing basketball. Big kid, so we're excited to see him and hopefully get the ball in get him some touches in some games. And then as well, I think he'll be big for us on defense.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. That's all I had for you. If you want to hand the microphone to Eliott, I'll ask him a few questions. So just talking about that Ezekiel game last year, talk about what it felt like to beat those guys and how that win gives you confidence for this season.
Yeah, so, Ezekiel, they're a great team. They're a great program. And so being able to beat them that year really gives us confidence for this year because being able to, we did that last year, so why can't we take it a step further this year and win it all?
Yeah. So. Tell us about what it's like playing for Coach JJ.
Really, it's a blessing. It's a great experience. He's a great coach. Like he said, he played in college, so he has a lot of football knowledge, even not just in the lineman position, even everywhere.
Yeah.
He's got good football knowledge, and his character on and off the field. He's more than a coach. He's a great leader. Even when it's not even football related, you can come to him with anything, and he's always there to help, but he's always there to push us, and we'll get serious, but he's also good to cut up during practice and have fun. So it's a blessing, and it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've played a lot of football, Eliott. What motivates you as a player to go out every day and compete?
Really, boils down to just the love of the game, the love of the brotherhood that it creates.
Yep.
All of our guys on our team, we're all super close. Everybody there puts in a lot of hard work, and so being able to have that it helps you to push me to put in work.
Yeah.
And with football, it's, you go out there, you put in the work, and it's a great, you can get a lot of stuff to take and put into your normal life, your everyday walk.
Right.
And it's also a blessing this team having like a Christian program to
Yeah.
really ground yourself in.
So along those lines, maybe somebody other than Coach Duarte that's been an influence on you, coach or other, in your football career so far, and why?
Yeah, so I've been blessed with a lot of good figures. So, but biggest one is really my dad. I mean, my mom too, my parents. They've always been super supportive and always have given a lot of their time and effort and always trying to give me opportunities to play, even not just football, other sports too. And just the blessing that is to have them there always supporting me. So
Fantastic. I'll let James ask the funny questions here in a minute. I'll skip mine. So why don't you, just in the interest of time, why don't you hand the microphone over to Ben, and we'll keep going. All right, Ben. So looking at the stats from last year, you averaged over 100 yards per game rushing. So what made the running game so effective last year, and what impact are you expecting that to have on the offense this season?
Yeah, so I think what makes the running game so effective here at Lighthouse is our line. Running backs can't do nothing without a good offensive line, and we have a really great one here at Lighthouse. So it really helps me as a running back. When their line's always doing what you're supposed to do, it helps the running back out a lot. And what I'm looking to do this year is kind of be the guy that Eliott can kind of lean on, on offense, because you can't do everything yourself. So kind of in the close games, we need to score or something. I kind of want to be that guy that we can trust to get the ball and make a play.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think your strongest asset is as a rusher? Is it vision, balance, ability to break tackles, something else? What do you think makes you stand out as a rusher?
I'd say probably my patience, with the plays, development, being able to read my blockers is very, very handy to have as a mental aspect of being a running back, and probably my speed.
Okay. What with Preston Graham graduated, as we talked about earlier, how important is it for the running game to have success in the offense, or do you think with Eliott stepping in, you guys will be balanced, really won't miss a beat? Talk about that a little bit.
We're gonna miss Preston, but Elliott's just as good. I think we'll be good. Everything starts with the run. When you can run the ball, it kind of gets the defense on their toes, and then you throw in some play action. We got Eliott, who's just as accurate as any other quarterback in the league, so I think we'll be fine, just as balanced as any other team.
Awesome. What is something overall different about this team that you've noticed coming into this season from last year?
Everyone seems to have a self-belief in themselves, and I think that's huge as a football team. When your players believe in themselves, it kind of carries over as a, just a culture of belief, and it really helps as, it's vital to a football team that you believe in yourself. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'll turn it over to James now.
Coach, James Shannon, 8-Man Extreme, good to meet you for the first time. With your conference commissioner sitting approximately 10 feet from you, two questions for you. So first off, the conference has a very interesting tiebreaker situation, especially in the case of a three-way tie, the point differential. Wanted to get your thoughts on that. And then also want to ask you how you prep and work with your guys. You guys have a big game this Saturday out of state against Tennessee Heat, a team that a couple of these teams have played. How do you prep your guys for that game and kind of get them in the right mindset to travel that far and then get them ready to play a game?
Yeah, so about the tiebreaker question, you never like the tiebreakers and you never like the way that they're set up when you fall on the outside of that. But, rules are rules, and we have bylaws and we have these things to put in place for a reason. And so, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And if you really look back on it, it falls on us because there's things that we could have done better or improved on during the season that wouldn't have caused us to be there. So I don't like the tiebreaker situation because I don't want to be in a tiebreaker situation. So
for sure,
my answer to that would be don't get yourself in that situation.
Exactly. For sure. For sure.
So then the next question. We're excited to go up, and I actually talked to Coach Ryan earlier before this meeting and just going over some details for the game. We're excited to travel up there. This is our first time playing in Tennessee as a program. I know I got the opportunity to coach with Coach Ryan at the Gatlinburg All-American Bowl game last year. So he's a great guy. He's got a great program up there. I know last year they were down a little bit with some injuries, and so we're looking to get the best out of Tennessee Heat this year when we travel up there. We are a little bit different. We don't, I wish we could afford a charter bus to go up there. So I'm hoping that everybody's parents gets them up there and shows up on time that we can get ready. But it's not too bad. We're used to traveling a little bit. Every other season is a big travel season for us. So again, our focus, the two things I've talked about yesterday at practice was our passion for the game. We've got to have passion for it, because when you have passion, it doesn't die out. And so every day we come to practice, we want to work on ourselves and we want to get better. And as we're preparing for the Tennessee Heat, that's a big thing for us, is that we got to know what we're doing and we got to be confident in what we're doing. And that's what our theme is for the year, is know what we're doing and know who we are. So we're excited to go up to Tennessee, and we're excited. I'm sure as everybody in this room, we're tired of hitting ourselves and we're ready to hit somebody else. So we're coming, Tennessee Heat. No. But we're excited and we love it and we love football. So
okay, question for Ben. You guys have known this game was coming for a while, and so as you personally, having that far of a trip and then having to get ready for football, it's not an hour or 2 hour drive. It's a little bit of a drive. How have you done anything, or how do you mentally prepare to make that trip and then be able to hop right in the mode and get ready to go?
I think sleep night before probably be huge, and then really getting loose and kind of stretching before the game probably be helpful.
I want to get your preferences on three things. Are we going Under Armour or Nike?
Nike.
Are we going Apple or Android?
Apple.
Are we going Chick-fil-A or Zaxby's?
Oh, Zaxby's, absolutely.
Let's pass it over to Eliott real quick, and we'll do the serious one first. But for you, is it kind of the same thing, or is there anything that you've kind of focused on?
Yeah, I mean, pretty similar. Just making sure really stretch and get good rest before the game. Really come in with a mindset. In the car before, the week before, just really having that mindset of being prepared when you get there.
Do you have the same? Are you the same across the board? Are you Apple or Android?
Apple.
Nike or Under Armour?
Have to go Nike.
Chick-fil-A or Zaxby's?
Chick-fil-A all the way.
Okay, all
Chick-fil-A.
right. All right, there you go. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you, James. Thank you, Lighthouse. And now we will give you guys a minute to exit as we welcome Evangel Lightning to the table. To Commissioner Long to introduce the Evangel Lightning.
I would like to mention something quickly. The National Homeschool Sports Association has a ranking each year. This year, I think there's around 43 eight-man teams in that ranking. And we talked about our conference a little bit, about the strength of the conference, and I know 8-Man Extreme has mentioned this even just recently. But as we prepare for Evangel Lightning stepping up, Evangel has stayed at the top of that ranking, back and forth, number 1, number 2, a little bit, has teetered a little bit. But actually, 3 of our schools, Evangel, Ezekiel, and Lighthouse, have, I think, topped. I think Lighthouse even got close in that top 10, close to that top 10 or 11 around there. So 3 of our 5 programs have maintained at the very top of that list, and that's a national 8-man football list. So it tells you a little bit how the strength of our conference. And then I think East Central got ranked as high as around 17 or 19, somewhere around there last year. And Southern Christian's right there with us and rapidly coming up. So, yes, our conference in itself ranks, but if you look at the schedule that our conference plays in football, a lot of those on our schedule outside of our conference are also those highly ranked teams in that conference. So I think that puts 8-man football with the Alabama Christian Sports Conference, as like I said earlier, as maybe one of the more outstanding conferences in the country. And these guys and stuff, you can be proud of that, and coaches of what you've accomplished here. And while we may not be big in our numbers, we are very powerful. We're very strong. The ACSC, their programs are strong. They're running very smoothly, and we're financially strong. We're in good shape. And so we think there's a great future for the ACSC. I'd like to, at this time, as I said, welcome Evangel Lightning to the table. We have head coach Tim Smith. He's brought with him today Eliott Whitfield and Judah Thompson.
All right, do it again.
Check.
Oh, there you go. Nice. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Opening remarks, Coach?
Yes, sir. First of all, we want to say thank you to Scott Stafford and his staff. When Coach JJ, we were sitting at our annual coaches meeting, and he said, Coach, next year I'd like to do a media day. He said, what are you thinking? Well, the wheels in my head started to turn, and while we were sitting at the meeting, which was 9 days ago, I text Scott, and he said, absolutely. And so he has put this together with some help of some young ladies that we appreciate y'all so much to help us get not just the coaches and the players, but our programs and our conference out there to people who don't know anything about 8-man football. As I like to say, it is real football. If you don't believe us, just put one of us on your schedule and find out. So about our team this year, we lost 16 seniors last year. We are one of the bigger programs in the conference. We got 12 seniors this year. So we're excited about the season. The weight room has been really good to us over the off season. A lot of our kids bought into it, and so you'll see a little bit difference. We've had some kids that's went up. They've gained 20 pounds, and their speeds got better. And that's what we want to do. We want to keep growing our program, and that's what we're all about at Evangel. We want to grow our program, grow the conference, and I think that's what we're doing. Mike does a great job with being the conference chairman, and we appreciate all that he does for us too. I also want to thank all these coaches that are sitting over here and these players. They have really represented our conference well, and we appreciate y'all coming up to Alabaster today to spend a little time with us. For our season this year, one of the things that we're really excited about at Evangel is our schedule this year. We like to travel. We went to the Tennessee Heat, and by the way, guys, it is a pretty good little jump. Great stadium up there, the Charlie Daniels Stadium. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Coach Ryan Scott and them, they do a great job up there. We have had the great fortune of playing several Tennessee teams. This year, we were supposed to go to Panama City and play City of Life out of Kissimmee, Florida. For some reasons, they had to cancel the game, so we're not going to be able to play them. But we do have a team from Pickens, South Carolina coming in. The Carolina Wildcats, we're excited about playing them. And the Tennessee Heat, Coach Scott and them are coming to us this year. It's become an annual game that we really enjoy playing Coach Scott and his group. And then our conference. And I would be wrong not to say this because I believe this. I believe we are in the strongest conference in 8-man football, not only in our state, but I'll say in the South at least. We battle. Now we have Southern Christian that's come in that we battle every year, and East Central, and both of those programs are growing and getting stronger. And then, of course, we always have our yearly battles with Lighthouse and Ezekiel, and we always look forward to those. Those are always great games. The crowds are always good, and it's exciting for our program. So we're excited about this year and ready to get it started. And like Coach JJ, we're tired of hitting each other. We want to hit somebody else.
Absolutely. Coach, similar question I asked the other coaches. Just you've coached a lot of football, the most experience of the coaches here. Talk about who's been your greatest influence in your coaching career and why.
Yeah, that's Scott's way of saying I'm the oldest guy in the room, besides Mike. Wait a minute, besides Mike. Yeah, I played at Shelby County High School, graduated in 1982. Yes, we did have helmets, guys. It wasn't a piece of leather with a strap on it, as they like to make fun of me. The 4 years I was there, we had 3 coaches. In my senior year, we got a new coach in, and his name was Ricky Seal. Coach Seal's the first guy that I ever knew that could coach me and tell me that he loved me, and it changed my life. And I knew at that point I wanted to do something in sports. And so Coach Seal has been – I still talk to him a lot, especially during football season. You know, if something's going on, if good or bad, I like to call him and share it with him. And he's been that guy that I turn to a lot.
Thank you for sharing that, Coach. So let's talk about last year a little bit. Kind of bittersweet, you might summarize it as. Your squad fell short in the state title for the second year in a row to Ezekiel, and but you guys rebounded and managed to defeat Freedom Cowboys for your 4th consecutive NHSA championship in Panama City. So talk about that roller coaster of emotions and you know, how that affected your team's motivation in the off season, and you know, what's it going to take to regain supremacy in the state this year?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I appreciate it. No, Ezekiel has a great program. Coach Hunter Wilson, they do a great job with their kids. Their kids play hard for them. It was a great football game that night down in Wetumpka. I mean, it was a really good football game, and they got us. And we regrouped our kids in a week, and we went down to Panama City, and we talked about 48 minutes of everything you could do. And that's what they bought into, and we did it. And we went down and we played probably our best football of the year while we were in Panama City, which I guess is a good thing since we lost the week before. But, yeah, it was tough to lose it because, you know, like everybody sitting in this room, we want that championship too. So, yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, and just over the years with the championships and everything, both at the state and then the national level, just talk about what you've gained from a not just the winning and losing aspect, but from a wisdom perspective. You know, usually in a younger coach's career, it's a lot about winning and losing, and you know, fortunately, we're in a Christian sports conference, so it's more about, you know, character and building the guys up. But from a wisdom perspective, what have you gained, and maybe you have adjusted more from the winning and losing side to focusing more on the development side of the kids?
Yeah, I'll be honest. When I first got in it, you know, it was more about the wins and losses on Friday nights. I also coach baseball. I've coached basketball. I've done a little bit of everything. And, you know, I always wanted to win. I wanted to compete. And Mike Long asked me not long ago, he said, what do you think, you know, part of your success is? And it's fear of failure. I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
And but it's changed from wins and losses to I don't want to fail these guys. I want to make sure that when they leave here, they're better godly men. They're going to turn into godly husbands and godly dads. That's my goal now, instead of winning championships. Now, I still like to win. But as we like to say, if I knew at the end of the year that all 40 of them were signed, sealed, and delivered, I'll take 10 losses and go on about my business because we've had the big win.
That's right. And along those lines, tell us about a story of redemption for one of your players that you've been able to coach.
Yeah, it's really pretty easy. In 2006, I was at Cornerstone Christian School in Columbiana, and we had a young man come in named Kirk Johnson. Kirk didn't want to be there, but I went to school with his mom, and, you know, we battled a little bit and ended up in 2008. Kirk was our leader, took us to Troy to play for a state championship. We got beat, but we made it. And now today he is the head coach at Montgomery Catholic Academy down in Montgomery. They played for a state championship 2 years ago, and I got to go sit in the stands and watch him coach. He was the defensive coordinator at that time. Now he's the head coach, And we stay in contact a lot. You know, he'll call me and bounce stuff off of me. So it's really good to see where that young man come from to where he is today and the leader that he is.
Yeah, that's outstanding, Coach. Thank you for sharing that. The next question I ask you or want to ask you kind of already answered, but how do you see this program impacting players 10, 15, 20 years from now?
Yeah, I want them to give back. You know, I want them to come back and give back. If you come to our practices, like yesterday, we had one that graduated that was here yesterday. But there's a lot of days that there'll be 5 or 6 guys that's graduated since I've been here. They'll just come hang out with us, you know, and I want them to come back, but I want them to give back. You know, I'm looking forward for some of them to come back and coach and help us. And we do have that here at Evangel. We got a new basketball coach, a girls basketball coach, a young lady that played here, graduated from here, and now she's come back and took over the program. So we're excited about that.
Cool. Yeah, that's outstanding. So I think that's all the questions I had for you. Do you want to turn the mic over to Eli now, and I'll ask him a few questions first? All right, Eli, just remember to hold that mic as close as you can. So, Eli, you're easily the most experienced quarterback, similar to Coach Smith being easily the most experienced coach in the room. You're easily the most experienced quarterback coming back in the conference. How do you think that gives your team an offense an advantage coming into the season?
I think just being in the big games, being in all the experience, being in those big games, losing some of the big games, winning some of the big games, just the experience of being there and knowing how to fight when it gets hard.
Yeah.
And getting through it.
Cool. And, all right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me one reason why Evangel's going to win a state title this year.
Our mindset this year has been different. The way we come to practice every day, the way we've been preparing at practice, it's just been different the way that we've been going about our business.
Okay. And this is your 3rd year as a starter at Evangel, is that correct?
Yes,
And what are you excited about with this offense going into your senior season?
We got an old offense this year, a lot of returning starters. So I think just the chemistry that we have between each other and the playmaking ability and the way that we just know each other on the field.
Okay. And Coach Smith coaches you in football and baseball. Talk about your relationship with Coach and the impact he's had on your life and your time with Evangel.
Oh, dude, I can't even put that into words. I mean, I'm here, 2-3 hours early every day hanging out with Coach Smith. I mean, it's so much deeper than just a sports that I play. He's so much more than just a coach. He's another father figure for me. You know, just teach me about life, teach me about the sports, how to input it into my life. I mean, he's just a great role model. Couldn't ask for anybody better.
That's awesome. That's all I had. You want to hand the mic to Judah, and we'll ask him a few questions? All right, Judah Thompson, you're also a two-way player like so many good athletes in this room. Which do you like playing better, offense or defense?
Well, I mean, there's two sides to the ball where on offense it's more like, well, I feel like I would be better at offense, but on defense it's just so much fun to be physical and hit.
Right. So you like hitting?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And you were second on the team in receiving yards to a pretty good player named Christian Chapman, who was an All-American. How is the offense adapting to compensate for the loss of a playmaker like Christian?
Kind of what he said. We already have a bunch of chemistry with returning starters and stuff, so we should be okay. Even Christian was an amazing player.
Yeah.
But it's always next person up.
All right, and you're one of a number of talented receivers coming back on this year's team. Would you say that, along with the senior quarterback coming back like Eli, that the passing game is primed to have a big season this year?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, we also have Hunter, really good running back, so the run game will set up the pass game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. But let's talk about. Well, you kind of touched on it a minute ago. Something different that you've noticed, or Eli also touched on this. Something different you noticed about this team coming into this season compared to last year's squad.
Yeah, it's just leading the team. We got 12 seniors that just want to lead, regardless of how good they are at the sport or any of it. They just want to go out there and lead.
All right. So, and tell us a little bit about how Evangel has helped you with your personal walk with Christ.
It's just like the fellowship here. It's like I came here last year and I was immediately welcomed in. Coach Smith before every practice prays, and then we pray after practice too.
Mm-hmm.
So all that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, James.
First question for Coach Smith. Coach, you guys have gotten to travel a little bit. You talked about how much you guys like to travel for games. Now with Coach Duarte going to Tennessee on Saturday, and then Coach Hunter's traveled around a little bit. Have you given him any advice in terms of the trips and how to handle that with your guys and getting them ready to play? Or do you have any advice?
Yeah, stretch, like they said, stretch real good. No, eat real well. You know, when we go on a road trip like that, we make it a really good adventure. We do take a charter bus, and we'll stop. They know where we're going to stop and eat. Cracker Barrel. They're getting the same thing: grilled chicken fingers, green beans, cream potatoes, and biscuits, and tea and water. I will let them have a little tea. No sodas. No, you just got to embrace it and enjoy it. I love it. I do not mind traveling to go play, especially out of state. To me, it kind of gives it that little bit of a college feel. You know, you travel, you stop, you eat pregame meal, you're on the bus together. It's just a lot of fun. I think they'll enjoy it. I know Coach Hunter and them, they enjoyed it when they went up there last year.
In my opinion, you guys have kind of become the team that, whether a team wants to go to Florida or not, they kind of cite you guys as a reason, because there's some teams that want to go to take you on, and I've heard of coaches that said, hey, I don't want to go because I don't want to play them. I don't want to face them. Do you have anything to say to these coaches that are winning conference championships, state championships? Give your best pitch to get them to come to national tournament and maybe take you guys on.
Yeah, this is a setup question, isn't it? No, I want to be careful what I say because I do want to tell the truth. I mean, I'm that guy. Coach Hunter and Coach JJ, they've been around me long enough to know we'll play anybody. It doesn't matter. If it was me and the shoe was on the other foot, like Hunter knows right now, they've won 2 state championships. Yes, I want to beat them this year. That's the competitive side. I want to be the guy that knocks that guy off. I don't want to, we love the challenge. If you want to play, we'll play. If you beat us, Hunter will tell you when the ball game's over with, Hunter and I shake hands. We laugh and cut up a little bit after I go and throw something in the dressing room maybe. I don't know. But, no, we just love the challenge. It's a great trip. I know I've been trying to get Coach JJ to come down. Ezekiel's been the last couple of years. We really enjoy it. It's not only football for us, though. It's the fellowship that we take. We took over 200 people last year down to Panama City, and, we grill and cook out, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
He stops by
it's good,
and
good
visits.
Eating. It's good eating.
Yeah,
it's a free meal, too. So
he can usually smell the food cooking from where he's at, and he comes by.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Coach, what you doing? Nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good time. It's a good trip.
I want to start with Judah real quick. You guys you being a senior, and you're going into your senior year. This is probably this is the last year that you'll play high school football for Evangel. If you got a chance to say something to the guys, the underclassmen, the guys coming up behind you, what advice would you give them in terms of how to handle your high school career?
Work out. That's all I got to say is just get in the gym and then get faster.
Fair enough. The reports have come out that they will be recreating NCAA football video game. What amount of money could they set it at for you not to go buy it? What would they set it at? You go, it's not worth it.
Like $200.
Fair enough. Go over to Eli, and same question for you, man. Going into your senior year, if you could tell those underclassmen anything, what would you tell them?
Just enjoy it, bro. I mean, it goes by so fast. I really didn't think it would when all the upperclassmen were telling me, but it really does. He gave the physical side to go work out and go to the gym and everything, so just enjoy it and have fun.
I got you. And then what amount are they setting it at to where you it's not worth it?
Dude, probably 150. 150. I'm out.
So what you're saying is you're more broke than him.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Fair enough. That's all I've got.
All right. Thank you, Evangel Christian. So we will take it to the default scene there, Grant, and allow Go ahead and switch to the podium. And we are ready for Mike Long to introduce Ezekiel.
Okay, last thing I'd like to say, we heard the coaches, and that kind of sparks what I want to say in between today. You heard Coach Smith talk about the conference a little bit more, and I appreciate the comments he said about me as a commissioner, but also our board is made up of all the athletic directors of each program, and then we have also Tim Smith is the deputy commissioner, and I'm in my third year, and he has been deputy commissioner, I think, right along with me when I took over 3 years ago. And then we have a lady too, Julie McLaren, who is our executive administrator, who takes care of a lot of most all of our paperwork and the things that goes on behind the scenes. And I would be amiss to not really thank her for what she has done for our conference. She's been with us since the beginning, so for 14 years. And the person that's going to take her place, we don't know. That's going to be some big shoes to fill. And speaking of that, another thing that was mentioned that's very difficult is that Coach Smith talking about people coming down to play them, like at Panama City or whatever, inviting. That's one of the problems about it's good and bad. It's great to have a great football program and overall sports program as we do with the Alabama Christian Sports Conference, but we're also intimidating to people. We have some small schools that talk to me every week. I have someone contacting me, and they'll say things like, well, do we have to play Evangel if we come into your conference? Or they'll say, do we have to travel all the way down to play in Opelika? Do we have to, they're from Huntsville or whatever. So we are looking at some things within our conference to alleviate some of those issues or to answer some of those in a better way. One that's been on the table for a while, and I'll be presenting this. I have a plan to actually, even though we don't have that many schools in our program, in our conference, of dividing it into a north-south program and possibly even a small school, large school. And what that does, that allows teams out of Huntsville and stuff to come in and possibly play in the Northern Division without having to be required to travel so much. Not that they can't and they have the opportunity to play, but it is a way for us to grow our conference. So we've got to do some things, but we are open to that. We are open to include more teams in our conference. The other thing that we're trying to do is that make sure that we maintain really good relationships, as you've just heard, with these Tennessee teams and things like that. We are open. There could be a possibility of some type of a merger or something that goes on with the ACSC. It may be football only. It may not be the entire program or whatever. But we are listening to all these ideas and everything that are hit. I talk to people every day outside our state, down in Louisiana. I'm talking to schools out of Louisiana, Mississippi. There's schools all over the country. You're hearing some of these, I think, saying somebody came down with South Carolina, North Carolina, somewhere that you're playing this year, I think Evangel. And so we are very open to that. And we maintain, many of you have heard the AISA about, oh, you're going to be included this year with the AISA, and then it doesn't work out or whatever. But we're still open. If there's something that presents itself to us that is a benefit for the Alabama Christian Sports Conference, we're going to take it. We're not going to do it just for the sake of because somebody else wants us to be a part of that. It has to be a benefit. And we have a lot to offer. The Alabama Christian Sports Conference has a lot to offer these other programs. So we're not going to sell ourselves short. And so in our growth, I think you're going to see some things change in the next 2 or 3 years. Homeschool in itself is changing. There's rules that we're constantly having to look at. Do we need to tweak this rule a little bit because it doesn't quite fit what we're doing? I know at East Central, we've been talking about taking off a lot of the things that say homeschool, like on our website. Coach Smith and I talked about that just recently. It says East Central Homeschool Sport. That's our name is East Central Homeschool Organized Sports, ECHOS. But we have 2 school programs and everything that don't have sports programs. They're brick and mortar, and all their kids, they've adopted us as their sports program. So we have 2 of those programs, schools doing that. But sometimes people hear that we're homeschool, and that's it. And they would be eligible to play for us, but they don't know. So we're looking at things, what can we do, and the way we present ourselves to the communities around us and all. And you've heard a little bit of this come out as each coach has spoke about the competition level and stuff. And that's one of the things that we have to work with is that we want to get better and better and better, but we also have to make a place for startups like Southern Christian and all that come in. We have to make it a comfortable place for them to come in and compete and not be demeaning to those players and coaches and everything on the field. And I think our coaches, such as Evangel, we can't say enough about Tim Smith. I remember, I don't know if it was baseball or basketball, we're talking about growing our program, and he says, I don't grow the program, I don't recruit. And he looked at our players at midfield and said, y'all are the ones that recruit. And the one thing he said that I thought was wonderful was, and that everybody needs to see, and you've heard this today, is that you've got to let people know that you're having fun. You've got to let people know you're having fun. With that enough said, I'd like to welcome the Ezekiel Knights to the table. We have Coach Hunter Wilson, head coach, and Melvin Spells and Wesley Speer are with us, and I'm going to turn it over to them this time.
Okay, give us a mic check.
Check.
All right, we're good. You're going to need to speak up, though.
All right. First, I'd like to thank Commissioner Long and the conference. And then secondly, and really for today, most importantly, Scott Stafford and his staff. This idea last week was kind of brought up hastily, and you know, Tim did not hesitate to say, hey, I've got a guy, and it'll be great. And I expected a lot. As always, with anything that Evangel hosts, you expect it to be top-notch because it always is. I didn't expect this, you know, and I'm not trying to sell anything short, but this has been nothing short of amazing, and especially in 9 days. So really thank you, and thank everybody that put this on. Now we'll jump into some football. You know, last year we were fortunate. We won the conference championship. You know, we're replacing 6 offensive starters, 6 defensive starters from that team. We had several juniors and sophomores that were there developing, but they didn't necessarily play a big part on last year's team. So we're excited for that challenge. That senior class, I'd had them since they were freshmen. They came in my first year, so this is my 4th year total coaching at Ezekiel. So, you know, that was a special group to me. My first year, they were freshmen. We grew together through this, so it's kind of, I'm kind of personally excited about the challenge of coaching a new group, learning new personalities, because I always say, you know, I'm really not an X's and O's coach. I've got great assistants for that. I strive to get the most out of each player. What can each player do the best? Kind of one of my coaching mentors told me that early on in this. Not, hey, don't focus on what each guy can't do well, but focus on what each player can do well. Every kid can do something that helps the team, and you've got to tap into that, and you've got to see what that's about. So I'm excited for the challenge this year, learning all these kids, learning some new personalities, seeing where they fit in, and really watching those guys have fun. You know, I've got Wesley Speer. He's going to be one of my senior leaders. He's been with us for a while. And then Melvin Spells, who'll be stepping into that running back role. He's a junior, and he joined us last year as a sophomore. So, but with that, take all the questions.
Okay, just a second here. I'm going to fix Melvin's name on here. I forgot to do that when you told me there was a change in the lineup today. So let me get that fixed real quick.
I'm sure.
Yep, you're Matty Spackman, Melvin. I think it's this one. Okay, now you're Melvin Speer again. I'm sorry, Melvin.
S-P-E-L-L-S. I apologize for that last
No, it's
minute
okay.
change last night.
Yeah, Maddie had a test today, right?
A dual
So,
enrollment, yes, sir. So he was
yeah.
trying to
Academics come
test
first
him.
in the conference. Okay, Melvin spells. Now I have it right. Okay, appreciate you guys' patience there. So, Coach, I'm going to put you on the spot right off the bat here. Talk about how the offseason went for the program after winning state title again, second year in a row, but coming up short at the NHSA tournament.
Yeah, the offseason's been geared towards avoiding that early to mid-season lull we went through last year. You know, we started hot last year and honestly got a little cocky. You know, arrogant. Confidence is one thing, but that group last year got cocky and arrogant, and so we've really focused on humbling ourselves. Maybe as a coach, I didn't do a good job of grounding the guys early last year, so we've really tried to get back to the basics mentally of hey, guys, we work hard, we do things the right way, and we don't get arrogant, we don't get cocky, because you saw what happened last year. You know, first 2 games we start out hot, and then the next 2 games we fall apart. We played good competition, but, you know, through those 2 games we had a total of 9 turnovers, and you know, we'll touch on that more in a second, but so our off-season training is really has nothing to do with the ACSC championship or even the national tournament. You know, and I've been talking to some guys about this. This is a good time for me to take ownership of that national tournament. It's a great thing. Hank St. Dennis does a great job of putting it on. However, we shouldn't have been there last year. You know, my guys didn't really. The parents more so than my guys. Really, we had some injuries and some guys who shouldn't be there. And, you know, as a coach, I had committed to going. And instead of leaving him high and dry, I went ahead and went. And so I told James from 8 Man Extreme, I said, you know, there's a fine line between taking ownership and making excuses. There's no excuse. My guys laid it on the line. But, you know, as a coach, I should be able to look at it. And with it being an extra on top of the season, I should have looked at it. And for the health and safety of my players, we shouldn't have been there. However, I commend my guys for going and playing hard. We fell short, but I saw a lot more positive out of that than people realize, simply because of the injuries and some of the guys that gutted some things out and things like that. So really the championship and the loss in the NHSA tournament didn't bear mind to the offseason, but that early season arrogance is really what we focused on. Let's get away from that and let's get back to working hard and doing things the right way.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that, Coach. So, you know, you're the youngest coach in the conference, but you've had some pretty good success. Is that right?
Yes,
You're
I just had to make sure Coach Smith heard that.
Oh, I thought I had made a mistake there. Well, you've had a lot of success, though, early in your career. What do you contribute that to mostly?
You know, first and foremost, I took over a secure program. You know, unlike so many of these guys, I didn't walk into a spot where I didn't have pads. I didn't have there was a format for me. Now, we've grown it tremendously. I think the year that I started as a JV assistant, there were 18 varsity players, and we regularly dressed 28 to 32. It doesn't always look that way in the off season. Some of our off seasons are bleak, but my guys do a great job of going out and getting players. So first, I would have to say Dale Monroe and Neil Harrison built the foundation of this program, and I got to step into something that was already going pretty good. I mean, they were in conference championships before I got here, and but then to go further than that, since I've been here, I've had some amazing assistant coaches. You know, we're all volunteers at Ezekiel, and so everybody loves it. Everybody's there for the love of it, and I've been fortunate. I grabbed my defensive coordinator after he graduated high school, and I would venture to say he's one of the best defensive coordinators in our area, and coaches need to keep their eyes out for him as he graduates this next year. So when he gets out into the actual coaching world, I think you're going to see a lot of him, and I've been very fortunate to have him by my side every year. And he's the football guru. He's all over it. Coach Smith, you know, regularly compliments him, and so, which is in this conference especially, and in this area of football, that's a big compliment from Coach Smith. So, but absolutely. And lastly on that, it's just fun for all of us. With it being a volunteer gig, you know, we want to win. It gives me a chance personally, and also all my other coaches, a chance to go out and be competitive. You know, I'm getting a little past the slow pitch softball age, so at least now I get to watch the other guys be physical for me while I let my competitive juices flow. And it's kind of, at the end of the day, if we do lose, I'm not going to lose my job. None of my other coaches are going to lose my job or lose their jobs. So with it being a volunteer thing, I think that plays in our favor as far as, hey, let's go out here, give it our best shot, have fun, and at the end of the day, live with the results. And the results have been pretty good so far because that trickles down to the kids.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk a little strategy here. So you lost your 2 starting running backs and your senior quarterback from a year ago. So who will Ezekiel turn to this season to take the reins of the offense?
I don't know if you knew how well you set me up with this question, but I appreciate this question. This is going to be the most loaded question of the day, I believe. So, if we would have been able to have one of these last year, you would have asked me the same question. Corey Murphy had not taken any significant snaps as a junior. Peyton Leach had not taken any significant snaps at quarterback in quite some time. So, had you asked me that question last year, we'd have the same thing. And people took notice last year. My friends at 8 Man Extreme, James Shannon, I think he said 5-5 was going to be, so we were looking pretty bleak at this point last year. So I guess a year of experience going through this kind of battle prepared me for this. Well, Melvin stepped in. He'll talk about that later. To that running back role. We feel very comfortable with him. Now, we don't have any clear-cut quarterback. We're down to two junior quarterbacks that we're letting battle it out. I feel at this point in the year, I feel more comfortable than I did last year. Okay. Last year, we rolled into that first game. I didn't know what our quarterback situation was going to look like. All I knew is Corey fumbled the ball a lot. So, and kind of to dive into that question a little more, I told you this one was going to be loaded. We lost 3 games last year. And I would attribute those 3 losses to our quarterback and running back play. In those 3 losses, we had 12 turnovers, 11 of which were between the quarterback and the running back that we have to replace. The 12th one being a fumble by Matty Spackman that, in an age of replay, if they would use the replay, I'd almost fully believe it would have been an incomplete pass. However, 11 of 12 in our 3 losses were those 2 guys. So what I'm preaching to Melvin, you don't have to put the team on your shoulders and win the game, which those guys did a lot last year. Both of those guys won us a lot of games, and I'm not taking that away from them. But we're preaching more of a team first. Let's take care of the ball, control the ball, and don't turn the ball over, because we saw what that did last year. You turn the ball over that many times, you're going to lose the games.
Right, absolutely. Some question about the defense now. After losing your top production guys on that side of the ball, who are you looking for to step up this season?
At this point in the year, I don't have any names. We've got some returning players that are stepping in. Kind of as a unit, though, we're looking for them to rewire themselves and kind of be a tough defense. In our 3 losses last year, we gave up over 100, I think maybe over 150, but for sure over 100 yards to the quarterback run game. And I attribute that to that defense being soft. They didn't want to take people on head on. They didn't want to wrap up and tackle. So really, we're looking at our defense from a team perspective. Let's gang tackle. Coach Smith's defense, oh my goodness, if you want to put a clinic on gang tackling, just turn on Evangel film, and that's what we've been preaching. That group last year, we had some great athletes, but they wanted to make the big play. They wanted to be the man. They didn't want to fight off blocks. They didn't want to do the little things. So we're teaching this defense. Wesley's going to be a big part of it. Melvin's going to start both ways. We have a nose guard, Sam Brown, coming back. He's a senior. We're really looking for those guys to lead that kind of gritty mentality on the defense.
Okay. And any other new faces for the Knights that you're expecting big things from this year?
I wouldn't say new faces. I would say you're going to think they're new because they were supporting last year. These 2 guys, he started on the offensive line last year. He played a lot of special teams. Jakyle Sims was a DB for us last year. We expect a lot from him on both sides of the ball this year. So you're going to see some of those names that were on the roster last year, but not necessarily at the forefront. And then, of course, Matty Spackman's coming back, and everybody knows his name. We hope to have a big year from him, but, you never want to speculate.
Right. He's a fantastic receiver for sure. And considering sort of a kingdom question here, and considering the impact a sports program and coaches have physically, mentally, relationally, emotionally, spiritually, etc., what do you hope is the biggest takeaway students graduating out of your program have?
Yeah, so when a guy leaves Ezekiel Academy football, I want them to take ownership of their life, and that's in every phase, especially spiritually. Just know when you're walking away, whether I'm yelling or having a conversation with a ref or anything like that, I've got to make sure that the words coming out of my mouth and the actions that I present show these guys, hey, look, you can be fiery, you can work hard, but you still have to keep God first. And I want them to walk away from it seeing me be a godly leader, a godly friend to all my other coaches, a godly coach, and then a godly husband. I want them to see all that from me, and they know. You've heard me today. I'm going to be very real with you, and if you ask me a question, they're going to get a real answer. And so we have conversation throughout, the season, throughout different things where I get the opportunity to be real with them. And so, I want them to make sure they're not putting on a front, but put God first, live through God, and make sure every action you do glorifies God.
Absolutely. That's all the questions I have for you, Coach. If you want to hand the mic to Wesley there, I'll ask him a few questions. Hey, Wesley.
Hey.
So just tell us, what's it been like to play for Coach Wilson and Ezekiel?
Well, out of all of my high school sports experiences, I think playing for him has probably been my favorite one.
Okay.
He's a young coach, so he's very relatable, and he's a player's coach. He wants to put the players first, put them in the best position that he wants for us to win. As he said earlier, he's a volunteer. All of them are, including Coach Bowden. They really they put a lot of time and effort in, even while they're at work on their lunch break, making plays, drawing up some stuff for us. So we're just really appreciative of them. I can speak for the behalf of the entire football team when I say that too.
That's awesome. And similar question that I asked Coach, what does your defense have to do to make up for the lost productivity on that side of the ball from the departing seniors from last year's team, and who specifically are you expecting to step up and have a big year?
I think that I'll start with the second one.
Okay.
I think who I expect to step up this year and really make a big impact is Sam Brown, who is our nose guard. Everyone on our defense has been making plays during practices. Like this is going to be a really good year defensive-wise.
Okay.
So I'm really excited for that.
Cool. And this is your senior year coming up, correct?
Yes, sir.
So going into your senior year, besides winning another championship, what's the biggest thing you hope to gain from this season? And
I feel like what I want to gain is kind of for the help of the team next year. I want to kind of set an example and go out every day, work hard, no matter what is coming my way. If I have something on my mind, take it out and be able to lead the guys so that next year and the years after that, they can help lead their teams. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's my biggest goal for this year.
Cool. And just talk about what drives you every day as a player to get out and work hard.
I think kind of what I just said when it comes to I want to set a good example. I want to be the guy with the other seniors to be able to step up into that leadership role, being able to set an example so that the teams next year can come in and work hard.
So along those lines, you guys, as Coach said, y'all lost a lot of seniors from last year's team, a lot of starters. Have you done anything since you're kind of stepping into a leadership role to grow personally and be able to lead your team well this year?
Absolutely. I think that being involved with my church and being able to constantly grow closer to God by just reading my Bible every day, doing little things, praying short prayers, long prayers, whatever it takes throughout the day. As Coach said earlier, the first 15 is a great way. You start to see when you get closer to God how you can also mature, and what comes with maturing is leadership. And I feel like that's probably the biggest thing, and also showing up to summer workouts and all the things to get to understand what I have to come into and what me and the other guys need to join in to lead.
Yeah, great answer. That's all I have. If you want to turn the mic over to Melvin. So Melvin, same question I asked Coach. So how did coming up short in NHSA tournament? I know you guys were maybe a little short-handed and everything like that, but how did that impact your motivation, preparation in the off season?
To just work harder, we came up short, but like Coach said, I was a lineman last year, so during the summer I worked really hard, lost a lot of weight, and now I'm able to play the position I want.
Okay, so you just worked harder in the off season. Cool. And you're kind of are you playing running back this year? Is that what I'm seeing here? Okay, so you're a pretty big guy, physical running back. Talk a little bit about making that transition to running back this year, and how you plan to fill the hole left by Corey Murphy graduating. I guess your first thing, you're going to try to take care of the ball better, like Coach said.
Yeah, well, you know what Coach said, take care of the ball better.
Yeah.
Corey was a great running back, and you know, nobody will, you know. Oh.
Yeah. There you go.
And Corey was a great running back, and you know, he broke the touchdown record last year, and so, I mean, yeah.
Did you have to tackle him in practice last year? Was that fun?
It was pretty slight. It was okay.
All right, so give me one reason, put you on the spot here. Give me one reason why Ezekiel will three-peat as state champions this year.
We're not focused on, you know, repeating for state right now. Right now we're just focusing on taking it step by step.
Okay.
First week.
Fair enough. One game at a time, right?
Yes, sir.
And just talk a little bit how playing at Evangel Ezekiel has impacted you from a kingdom perspective.
All the, you know, before and after prayer, the devotions after practice, and, you know, just, I've been since last year, and, you know, since I've been here, the guys, I've been fit in real good with the guys and everything else like that.
Okay. That's all I had for Melvin. I'm going to turn it over to you, James.
Coach, between officials, which we absolutely love interacting with, and then just the fan environment and the home field advantage that's created, which of these places in the conference is your favorite to go to?
My favorite place to go to, I've had the opportunity to play it all.
So basically the one that you don't have to deal with that the most. It's easy going for you.
No. So, I mean, I'm going to say my favorite experience, and you know, like I said at the beginning of this, when you come here to Evangel, you're going to get a first class treatment. You know, a lot of places, us included, don't necessarily have locker rooms and things like that. So the facilities here, the welcoming you with open arms is great. But I'm going to say, just everybody's going to say Evangel on that question. So I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to go East Central here. You know, they welcomed us with open arms last year, and we had rain delay, lightning delay, all that. Super, I mean, just flexible, and the people were great. You know, the fans were okay. You know, I say that because, you know, we had one incident with my wife and a fan, but other than that, all the other fans were great and very receptive. And, you know, Coach Long is first class, but Coach Smith, I've really enjoyed getting to know him and meeting him, and you know. But James, that wasn't a fair question because all these guys here are great, and they all do. You know, I know from hosting, and I rent my facility and stuff. We all do the most we can with what we have. So, you know, I picked one as kind of a scapegoat, but honestly, man, everybody here does a great job of welcoming you and making you as comfortable as possible. And the fans, man, it's football. You expect fieriness, and I'd say everybody here's got fiery fans, and that makes the game more exciting. That's the difference, in my opinion, in a football game and a baseball game, right? I mean, I love baseball. I'm a baseball purist as well, but you just don't have the constant roar of the crowd at those baseball games, and I think that's what separates the environment of a Friday night and a Tuesday afternoon at the baseball park.
Yeah, football is all about battling and trying to overcome adversity. So how are you battling your receding hairline?
You know, that they warned me about wearing hats all the time, and I'm an accountant, so I don't get to wear hats at work either, but you just got to own it. I do think, besides Mike, I probably got the most hair out of any of the coaches here, so I can live with that.
Question for Melvin. First off, do you guys ever incorporate the championship rings or trophies into your workouts during the summer? Just throwing it out there. You guys have 2 in the last 2 years, so you know I didn't know if you could do that.
I mean, this was actually last year was actually my first ring with them. You know, with that being my first year, so
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
in a little bit lighter hearted side. Which one I got to know? Which one is less of a sport, bowling or cornhole?
Cornhole.
Really?
Well,
because they're both broadcast on ESPN. So which one's less of a sport, in your opinion?
Definitely cornhole.
Fair enough. And I'll toss it over to Wesley.
Before I answer yours, I felt to answer one of yours about the seniors leaving from the defense, and Coach Hunter said earlier about how we all have. I mean, you could ask every team this question. Everyone has seniors that graduate the year prior, and I think Coach Hunter and Coach Bowden have done an amazing job at ever since we come to the varsity side as freshmen. We're constantly being grown. Even if we get put in the game for 5 minutes, they're watching us. They're seeing what we can do to help impact the team for next year.
Thank you for that.
So I'll toss it to you again. You ever include the rings or the trophy in your workout a little bit, just a little extra motivation to say, hey, it'd be nice to add another one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've thought about that, but Melvin said earlier we're not focused on that right now.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a great goal to look forward to, but we're just trying to win as many games as possible, starting from week 1 at North River.
Fair enough. Same thing with you with bowling, cornhole. You have any thoughts?
Cornhole is most definitely a sport. Let me just cornhole.
I'm not arguing that they're not sports. Which one's less of a sport?
Oh, which one's less?
Yeah.
Oh, bowling. Also,
fair enough.
I want to answer the gas station question.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Listen, I got the mic. You need to take it away.
So you're graduating after this year, right? I mean, Amen Extreme is always looking for people. So
I got my finger on the mute button.
All right. Fairlife protein shake.
Okay, I like that answer.
And Pringles.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
One more question. Chance to send a message to your team. If there's anything that's going to keep you from winning a state championship this year, what's it going to be?
It'll be ourselves. We've got to focus on Ezekiel football, and that's it.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ezekiel. All right. I think we will want to.
Also say that we want to thank you, Scott, and for the team here, James and you ladies and stuff that have prepared this for us. This was fantastic. Hunter, I agree with you. This is more than what I thought it would be. Even myself, not really prepared a whole lot and just kind of winging it, go to say, but I thought we got a lot of things out there. Be a little lighthearted. Maybe side here at the end. I did hear a few things that were a little negative. One, that I was the oldest person in the room. That was probably the main one. But then I got the hair comment that I had a comeback there, a little bit of a comeback. So don't have a bad problem. My wife, I carried this around the last 10 years or so. My wife tells people and everything how good looking I am from behind, as I'm walking away. This will be my 46 years to coach, and I have people ask me, maybe because they're wanting me to, when are you going to quit? When I don't have the passion anymore for it. Most of them know here that I'm a basketball coach, played college ball and a little bit of pro ball. But the thing about coaching that I'm hearing that I love to hear JJ and Hunter, the younger coaches, and coaches like Tim come up who have well over 30 years of experience in coaching. And I remember people, it's hard for people now to look at me and say, Coach Long, have you ever gotten a technical? Because that's just not me anymore. I'll get on to a coach, a ref, or something on a sideline, usually in a timeout, and say, I usually just try to have fun with them. I do. I said, I think you missed it. My eyesight's not as good as it used to be and stuff, and I'll talk to them a little bit. And usually I'm trying to distract them away from a play so that they don't call something on. But, I see myself in some of them. I see the spirit they have. Most of it, sometimes we say, oh, that person is just argumentative. No, they're passionate sometimes. Sometimes we have coaches that are passionate on the sideline, and while they may carry it a little further than that ref wanted them to, and you get a T or whatever, it happens. But we are going to work on that. We are really going to work that as a conference. This year is going to be the first year that we're going to have mandatory a behavior for a statement for our fans. The AISA has it. Other programs have that. That statement will be made before every ball game about how we expect our fans, our players, our coaches, how we expect them to act on that. And I will say this: through the years, technicals and things like that are reported to the conference and all. And this past year was the fewest that we've ever had. And I think we're really moving in the right direction. We have to be different. We have to be different, and it has to be visible out there. We have to be something, a product on the field and off the field that people want to be a part of. And then that's something we're going to continue to work on and go. The other thing I'll end on is that I have a list at my house. It's probably grown to probably 150, 200 statements that I think are funny, or they're funny to me. Not necessarily funny to everyone, but they're just statements that I hear that kind of make a big impact to me. And sometimes they're really funny. One I get, some of them are parents, some are players, some are fans, just different ones. But from parents, I used to get, and it's become funny the longer I've coached and been a part of administration. That is, where are you spending all of our money? You know, I think that's hilarious to me. I mean, after I look at what all we have to go through, and these coaches know, and what it costs to run these programs and stuff. And at one time, East Central, I think, was one of the lowest price, if you can imagine. I won't say what it is. It's still low. But and parents still come up to you and say, where are you spending all of our money? You know, I'll have our fee at one time was $150 in baseball. We were paying $399 for a bat, and they want to know where all the money's going. And things like that are going. I had a comment from a player, one of my sweet girl, and most of you know I coach girls basketball, and we've had some great success and all. And they come to you, and you think they know everything about basketball, and this sweet 10th grade girl comes to me, and maybe this is a homeschool thing, but she comes to me and says, Coach Long, so if I get to play college ball and go play college ball, do I go to school? And I'm like, yes. So I kind of thought, okay, they homeschool. They don't know what they're supposed to do when they're not at home. So away from homeschool doesn't make a lot of sense. So I thought to them, I had to write that one down. I had to put that one in there. But all kinds of things. And I've had players come to me and say, Coach, I'm going to play really good tonight. I'm going to play really good tonight and everything. And they have all these things. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this and everything. And then I'll look at them and say, but I don't have a ride. Can you take me? And I'm like, you know, they got everything planned out, but they don't know how they're going to get to the game. And, you know, I've been a part of private schools. I started out with that. Then I've been in public school situations, travel ball. The good thing about being older and all is that I have experienced a lot. So I like to think I'm wise, not old. So maybe that's the case. But I, again, appreciate Coach Smith, this room, providing this for us today. And these ladies, I don't think we could have had a better opening and everything for a Media's Day. And I'll be very surprised if we don't hear from basketball and some of these others that may want to follow up with something like this. And this one will be a hard one to top. James, we appreciate you traveling down, man. Appreciate that so much, and you add so much to the program, and you've become a close friend to our conference and these coaches and all. So appreciate it. I'm going to turn it back over to Scott, and hope you guys have a great day.
Yeah, you can put the